Hey guys, welcome to Board Together Games. Just wanted to throw this quick disclaimer out there. We had intended to put a video out that covered our entire experience at Geekway to the West 2017 that had our thoughts on the convention itself and everything to do with it, the games that we played, the games we purchased, thoughts on those, and a final wrap-up all in one video. But when we got done recording, we realized we had over 2 hours worth of footage. So I had to break this up into a couple of videos. This one is the overview of the convention and the games that we played while we were there and our thoughts on those. So just wanted to also note that every game we talk about in this video will be linked in the description, so you can click on those and go check out those games as well. Also, I'm going to put a link in the description for the other video, which will be the games that we purchased and our final thoughts. So I'll link that video in this description, and I just wanted to throw that quick disclaimer out there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of the video. Hey everybody, welcome to our Geekway to the West 2017 wrap-up video. And in this video, we're going to talk about pretty much everything to do with the convention that we experienced. Like, you know, what was the hall like? What was the experience like? What was the atmosphere, the vibe? You know, what were all of these wonderful things? And we're going to talk about all of the games that we were able to pick up. We're going to talk a little bit about the vendor hall, where there was quite a few publishers there selling games, things like that. So yeah, that's what this video is going to be about. This might be a long one, so disclaimers up front. We do have quite a few games to go through, quite a few games that we want to talk about that we played. We're not going to cover each one in depth. We're just going to kind of go over and give you an idea of what everything was all about. So Geekway to the West 2017 was held at the St. Charles Convention Center, which is a pretty good sized venue, and it's about, what would you say, 25 to 30 miles west of St. Louis proper. And there were 2,500 people there, roughly, give or take a few. Most of them were there the entire time. There were times, and a lot of the video footage that you'll see in our little recap video that we're posting is it shows at the less busy times. So it'll look like there's certain, whole tables that aren't full, but shoot, Friday afternoon through Saturday late, that place was jam-packed.
A lot of people, yeah. There was trying to find a place to sit to play a game could be difficult at times. Yeah.
And Ryan, what did you think of the actual hall? Oh, by the way, sorry, this is my sister, Kathy. This is the first time she's joining us here at Board Together Games. She is, for all intents and purposes, one of the team, right? And you'll be seeing her in some upcoming reviews as well. But yeah, Ryan, what did you think about of the hall itself? I mean, do you feel like it was a good place for them to have it? Was it big enough? You didn't feel cramped at all? I mean...
No.
No? Wasn't good or wasn't cramped?
Wasn't cramped.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I kind of felt the same way. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I know this was the first year that they were at this location because of size. Because it's growing, and I think it was a really nice location. It seemed everything seemed to fit well. There was enough space for everything that they needed to do, but not a whole lot of crowded feeling. So it was good. Right,
and there were a lot of events and things going on that we didn't even get a chance to really go see. I tried to get in to get some footage of some things like that, but there was so much going on, and there was so much that we wanted to do.
Right.
We didn't go just to document it. We went to enjoy it and have fun ourselves. So that will explain why a lot of the video is just, open gaming, the vendor hall, the big sections where everybody was, like the play and win and the library, that kind of thing. So, but it was really enjoyable. This was the first convention for all three of us. So we've been gaming for a while, but we're relative newcomers to the hobby for all intents and purposes. 18 months, really is all we've been in the hobby, and that compared to some people who have been in this thing for decades, is quite a difference. So, but we really enjoyed it. It was a great place. I feel like the staff and the ownership of that convention did a really good job of keeping things organized. Having things clearly marked where you knew where everything was. So yeah, kudos to them. They did a fantastic job.
They really did.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Want to talk about some games?
Absolutely.
So what do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about the games we played or the games that we came home with?
Let's start with the games we played.
Okay. I don't have that list in front of me. So we have a lot of information to cover. We're going to use our phones. We're going to take notes. So that's going to be what it is. All right. So I got my cheat sheet now so we can go over all these games. We played full a total of 20 games in the 4 days. And we weren't even technically, you can't count it as 4 full days. We left early on Sunday, but we were there for the full day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right.
We did a few little demos and were shown a quick turn or two on some of the games at the vendor hall. But as far as games that we played all the way through, there were 20 of them. The first one that we played is called Role Player. And Role Player is a dice drafting game with player abilities, asymmetrical abilities, and it's pretty unique. You roll these dice every turn, you draft them, you put them into your player. So the setup is basically you are role-playing game characters, like a Dungeons and Dragons type of thing, for those of you who do not know. But it takes away pretty much all the role-playing game out of it, and it just, you choose a character, a dragon, an orc, a halfling, a human, an elf, right? And each one of those has special powers. There's different things that you can do with the dice, and you're also purchasing cards that give you other abilities and allow you to do some set collection for extra points at the end of the game. But you're taking these dice, and the dice become how you boost your character's statistics. So, like a role-playing game, things like charisma, strength, intelligence, wisdom, all these types of things. So it was really neat. I liked it. For one, I don't know that I've mentioned this on the show or not before, but I do not like high fantasy. I do not like that. I mean, I like Lord of the Rings. I like that kind of stuff. But when it comes to gaming, to me, that theme is I'm just over it. And this game is obviously in that theme. So going into it, I'm like, yeah, I'll play it because I like the dice and things like that. But I'm, whatever. I liked it. I liked the game a lot. I still can't stand the theme, and I would have rated it a lot higher had it not been for the theme, if it were something else. But it did make sense. It was oddly thematic.
It was.
So what did you think of it, Kathy?
I do like fantasy. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons back in the day a little. I dabbled in it a little bit. So I do like the theme of the fantasy. So when I first saw that the game was coming out, I was pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
But I never had a chance to pick it up yet. So being able to play it at the convention was really nice, and I was really looking forward to playing it. And it met my expectations. I was very glad to see how it played. I love dice, and I love the dice drafting aspect of it. So it was a really good game for me. I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Yeah. Ryan, what did you think of Role Player?
I really liked it.
Yeah. What do you think of the whole fantasy theme? Do you like that kind of stuff or no?
Depends on what it is.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. But dice, right? Mm-hmm. The mechanics of the dice were really cool, where you roll a certain number each round, and then each person, kind of in a player order that gets determined a different way, gets to choose which. It was unique. It had some really good qualities to it. So that was Role Player. Again, it's a 1 to 4 player game, which is pretty interesting. You can play it solo. Information on who it's from and all that would be at the bottom of the screen. So next up on the list is Carcassonne Star Wars. So Carcassonne is a game that has been around for years now. It's kind of one of the go-to gateway games, right? To bring people who don't know much about games into the hobby. And we are certainly going to cover that game at some point on this channel in full depth with a review and everything. But this basically is that game with a Star Wars theme pasted on it. That one plays 2 to 5 players. That fifth player, and the nice thing of it, Carcassonne's not a really long game, so adding that fifth player is not a huge deal, as it can be in a lot of games. But it was cool. I liked that too. I'm still thinking I like just regular Carcassonne better. But Kathy, tell us what you thought and what was different about that one.
Well, for the Carcassonne Star Wars, they actually have a battle aspect where if you play it's a tile in a certain area and it's within a certain distance of your character, if by a certain
what do they call those? The factions,
The
right?
factions, thank
Right.
you. Within a certain faction, then you would end up actually battling each other for the territory and to be able to take those points.
Yeah, and you kick other people off.
Right.
And I think that's what you didn't like about it, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I didn't care for.
Yeah, it's not that you're just in a battle and the winner gets, a certain percentage of whatever, or you have to move to a different. No, you get kicked completely off of the game board, which is it's kind of a bummer. You could have had your guy. Because basically this is a tile laying game, as Kathy mentioned, and
that's area control.
Area control. As you place the tiles, you place your little character dudes, the meeples. You place them on the board, and they will control whatever area that they are sitting in. And in regular Carcassonne, you can fight for majority in some of these areas, but this is different. I mean, they just boot you right out, like you said. You lose a die roll, and you're done.
Yeah.
So there is that. It is short enough that it's, to me, not a huge deal. What about you, Ryan? What do you think of that?
Yeah.
You liked the Carcassonne Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because of the battles, or just because it was something different than regular Carcassonne?
Probably because it's different.
Yeah. We do play Carcassonne quite a bit, and it's really never the same game twice, but it's always the same game. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Kind of? Okay, fair enough. So again, we'll cover Carcassonne probably deeper later, in a different video. But yeah, so we're going to move on now to Via Nebula. Via Nebula is another tile placement game where you have a large board set out in front of you. It's a map of this strange land that's covered in fog, and your job is to put workers on the board that will generate resources and then build a path where you are basically displacing the fog back to a building site that belongs to you and bringing resources through that cleared path to score points, basically, by fulfilling orders that are on cards up at the top of the board.
And that allows you to build a building in that location.
Yeah, build the buildings in those locations. And it's really not points. It's basically just a race. Whoever builds 5 buildings the fastest is the winner. And that's for 2 to 4 players. Again, the information will be at the bottom of the screen. I liked this one a lot. I'd heard some good buzz about it. So yeah, it didn't let me down. It didn't necessarily blow me away either. It is one that I would own if I found it at a really good price somewhere, I think. But I don't know that it necessarily jumped to the top of my list of things to buy after playing it once. What do you think?
I do like tile laying games, so I was going into it. I was looking forward to seeing what it was going to be about. It didn't really get me excited after I was finished. It was an okay game. I don't dislike it, but I'm not sure I would seek out to play it again.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't really hit triggers for me as much.
Sure. Ryan, didn't you say you liked it?
I did. I like that the tiles are hexes instead of squares.
Oh yeah, that is cool. That is cool. Yeah. Something about a hexagon to a board gamer is like, I don't know what it is. It's like, anyway, hexes. So that was Via Nebula. It was good. I mean, if somebody asked me, I would say, yeah, you should check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, you got to go get this game.
Right.
That makes sense. Next up on the list is Between Two Cities, which, first off, it plays 3 to 7, which is great.
Yes.
And this is another tile placement game. All right, we did play other stuff.
We really
promise.
did.
But Between Two Cities is very unique because what happens is you'll have all the players sitting around the table. And the cities that are going to be built by drafting tiles and playing them down to the board or to the table are going to be set up between you and the players to your left and to your right. Yes. So if this were the setup right here, there would be a city being built between me and Ryan, one between Ryan and Kathy, and one between me and Kathy. Or Kathy and I, excuse me. So basically you draw a certain number of tiles at the beginning of a round, and you will take 2 tiles and then pass either left or right depending on the round. And then you'll choose one of those tiles to go in the city to your right, one to go in the city to your left, and you can discuss this openly because you're building that city with those people who are sitting next to you. And how you win this game, you score points by where things are placed and how, what touches what and what doesn't touch what orthogonally on the board. You build a 4x4 grid, 16 tiles is your entire city. It's a very quick game. What's cool about these tile laying games where you're drafting and placing these tiles is as player counts go up, it doesn't make the game drag on and on.
Right.
Which is very cool.
Very cool.
I was blown away by this game. How you win is whoever you count up the points of each city. For each player will count the points for each city. And their lowest scoring city becomes their score for the game. It kind of blew my mind. That part of it did too, as far as, well, how's this going to work? Well, it does work really, really well. This might have been one of my favorites. This might be in my top 5 of the convention. And I did not expect that coming in. I even watched full playthroughs of this game online. And it just didn't look that interesting to me. But playing it was all the difference.
It was definitely different. I felt the same way. I've seen run-throughs of it on online.
Yeah.
And I thought it looked like an okay game, but it didn't really catch my eye where I had to try it or had to play it. And we had an opportunity to play it from the library. We set it up, and by the time the game was over, I was sold. It was a really, really good game. Yeah. I was very impressed.
And there's an expansion that just, I think real recently came out for that as well.
Yeah.
Ryan, what did you think of Between Two Cities?
I liked it. I don't know if I would buy it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Surprising, actually.
Yeah.
You and I both loved it, and it's right up his alley.
Right.
I honestly thought that this would have been one of your favorites. Well, I mean, that's not a problem. It's just not what I expected.
Yeah.
But I did. I really liked it. Highly recommended. Between Two Cities. All right, and next we have Junk Art. Junk Art is a dexterity game, and dexterity games they basically require some sort of motor skills or something. You'll either be flicking things or throwing things, stacking things,
balancing things,
anything to do with your hands and any kind of tactile component. Right. So Junk Art basically just has a bunch of chunky wooden pieces in it. And we'll have some pictures, I'm sure, to pop up here so you can kind of see those. And there's a lot of different ways you can play this game. There's 5 or 6 different rule sets. I don't know for sure, to be honest with you. But all of those different rule sets describe different ways to play this game. You can play the game turn order. You can play the game where it's a speed game. Everybody's building at the same time with a certain color of objects and just a bunch of different things. This game is very cool. The problem that we had with it was that we played it at a convention on a table that we never should have played it on.
Yes.
Because it wasn't a sturdy table.
No.
Kind of just didn't give the game much of a chance.
Yeah.
And Kathy, I know you're not a big fan of dexterity games anyway.
I'm not a big fan of dexterity games in general. And this game, I can see the potential that I would probably like it more than most dexterity games. Mm-hmm. However, the fact that we played it on a wobbly table that anybody can walk by and bump it, or even we could bump it.
And we did.
And we did. It just wasn't able to make a good game out of it. I know several times that if we hadn't bumped the table, we probably would have got a little higher, but the game was very short just because we kept bumping it. And the way that we played was that if you lost 6 pieces, then the game was over, and we all lost 6 pieces very quickly.
Yeah, it was not good. And I felt really bad too, because this is one that I know Ryan had been looking forward to getting his hands on for quite a while. And after our experience with it, Ryan, I'm curious to know, do you still feel like this game could be a great one for you, or something that ultimately you would want to own at some point, or are you kind of let down by it? Or do you think it was just the environment that was the letdown?
I think the environment was the letdown.
Yeah. So are you still thinking you would want to give this game another chance? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think I would too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I want to give it another shot.
But I do kind of feel like it doesn't, I still feel like it's not going to have the wow factor that a lot of other people out there are giving this game. So anyway, that's Junk Art. We're going to move on now to New York Slice. New York Slice is a reprint of an older game called something Pie. Take the Pie? Take the cake? Maybe it's take the cake. I don't know. But whatever it is, it'll be on the screen right now. The correct version, older version of the game. I'll put a picture of it up there. But this is New York Slice. It's a retheming of that game where it's pizza instead of cake or pie or whatever it is. And this is, the mechanic in this game is called I Split, You Choose. So each round, you're going to put an 11 slice pizza out on the table. It's going to have different ingredients showing on each one. And those are basically it's a set collection thing. Right. So you want to have the majority of the pepperonis, or not the pepperonis, that's the different thing. Right. The majority of veggie pieces, a majority of meat lovers, a majority of, at the end of the game, and you score points that way. So what happens is the person who is the slicer each round, and that is different for every round, will take those 11 pieces and split them up any way that they choose, equal to the number of players. So if it's 4 players, you would separate the pie into the pizza into 4 different groups of pieces.
Keeping the pie intact.
Yes. But then the person who split it is the last one who gets to choose or take whatever's left. So to their left, that person gets to choose a group first, then the next person. And I thought it was pretty cool.
It was interesting.
I dug this game. I honestly thought it was going to be kind of meh.
Yeah.
But I dug it. It was neat. And now I think it's horrifically overproduced.
Definitely.
I mean, and I know why it is, because with a game like that, if it's going to get heavy use, you don't want these pieces to get marred or damaged. So it's super thick chipboard. It's not cardboard, it's chipboard.
Right.
And the box is super sturdy. It's all really heavy, which is great. I like a good quality production,
sure.
But I feel like for what this game is, it just seems like it's more than it needed to be.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the price. I don't know what it costs, but I liked the game a lot. Ryan, did you dig it as much as I dug it? Yeah? How did you do in that game? Because you were right there. I mean, we were all pretty close in score at the end of this game. It was pretty good. And of course, there's special abilities and things that come out every round that you can take that might give you extra points at the end of the game, that kind of thing. Kathy, what did you think of it?
I don't think I liked it as much as you did, but
Yeah.
I didn't dislike it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of the I split, you choose.
Really?
Yeah. But I thought it was strategic. I mean, there's a lot of strategy in how you split that pizza up to make
Yeah.
sure that the points that you get are going to be enough to get you through. And since you're the slicer, you're actually going to be the last to choose. So you need to make sure that there's still going to be something appealing enough left that you're going to be able to make some points out of the split.
Right. So yeah, all in all, I think it's a good filler.
Yes.
That's
Pizza
funny.
filler.
That's not funny. So yeah, that was New York Slice. 3 to 6 players on that one, by the way. All right, so next up we have Not Alone. This is a fairly new game. It was released in Europe before it was released over here, and it just hit the States. It's a one versus many. So you're going to have one player that is taking on the rest of the players at the table with asymmetrical powers, I guess is the way you would put it. So you've landed on an alien planet and you are not alone. So the person who is the one is the alien, or the creature, I guess you would call it. And then the rest of the people are the ones who have crash landed on this alien planet and are trying to survive, basically. So they're trying to hide, and you basically get a hand of cards that are valued 1 through 5, and you can purchase or acquire other valued cards during the course of the game. And each round you're going to play one. Each player is going to play one, and then the creature is going to try to guess what location those players have gone to. And it's a race to the center of this board, basically. You have tokens and little spaces, and there's a spot in the center of the board where you're both racing to. If the players reach that spot first by surviving a round, then they move 1 space closer. If the creature catches any one of the players, they move 1 space closer. And that's it, really. And it sounds simple and kind of but it's really unique. This is one of those that I think is going to work better with more players.
Definitely.
It plays 2 to 7. I've heard that a one-on-one game, which you can do, is good. But I don't know if I'd ever want to try it. I mean, I think in a group, if somebody had it, I'd be like, oh, heck yeah, I'll play.
Sure.
Right? But outside of that, I don't know that I'm going to... I mean, I actually had it on my online on one of my wish lists until I demoed it. And I didn't dislike it. I thought it was good, but it wasn't like super duper awesome. Ryan, did you partake in the? You caught it. We demoed this, so I guess I lied to you at the beginning. We did not do a full playthrough of this game, or did we?
Yeah, we finished.
You
it.
guys
we did.
did.
That's right. We lost.
We lost.
We lost.
You
okay.
guys
The
did.
alien won.
I didn't.
That's right. Ryan came in on the tail end, played a few hands, and did you think that was enough for you to really have an opinion on it?
No.
Not really. No. Well, did it seem intriguing to you, or were you just kind of like, I could take or leave this?
It didn't look appealing when they played it, because I watched them play it, and
That's usually a good sign. If you're watching somebody play and you don't feel like, ooh, I want to get in there and play it, it's probably not that greatest for you, in your opinion, right? Okay, cool. And Kathy?
I actually felt differently than both of you because and it might have been because in my specific scenario with my play of the game, what happens is that if the alien catches you, you lose a will. And there you get 3 will for the game.
It's a different mechanic.
And each time that he catches you, you have to lose a will, or maybe 2, depending on what the ability is or what the cards say. And through the entire game, I never lost 1 will. So that I think that might have been the appeal for me, is that I was doing so well in the game. But I thought it was fun. I did hear the gentleman that was helping us with the demo said that if you play more than 4 players, that the alien seems to have a bigger advantage.
Slight advantage.
Slight advantage to winning.
That's the tipping point.
Yeah, he said any more than 4, and you're probably looking at the alien is more than likely going to win. We played with 4 players, and we were really close. Actually, he beat us, but not by much. Yeah. But it was. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's something that I would play again if I was asked. I'm not sure if I'd buy it, but I think it was a really good game.
Well, that's similar to where I stand then.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, but I'm not running online to go buy it.
Right.
Right. So I'm sure everybody watching wants to know: was it luck or skill?
Oh, it was definitely skill.
All right. So that was Not Alone. And moving on to a little game called #Me. So these two played it. I walked in, I walked up when they were probably more than halfway through. Not even sure exactly how to describe it. It's a
storytelling game. So you get each player gets 6 cards, and on your 6 cards it says a word. So it'll say #something. And then there's going to be a storyteller each round. And the storyteller gets a card that kind of tells them how to start the story. And you can either lie or tell the truth and tell a story. And about 90 seconds or so is about what they say is a good time limit. And the people who are listening to the story can ask questions. And what they're trying to do is to get that person to answer the questions that will help lead into what the cards in their hands say. Because if something sounds like it would fit into the story, you can play a card and say # whatever that word is. And then at the end of the story, the storyteller looks at each person's cards that they've played at the end of the round and says, okay, I think that one fits with the story. I think that one probably doesn't. And they kind of judge and weed out the ones that they don't want. And then at the end of that decision making, there's points scored 2 for each card that's in there, and then they pick one that's actually the best that they think fits best in the story, and then they that person gets more points than just the 2 points. I don't remember the exact point count.
What the distribution is, right?
Exactly, right.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty entertaining watching them play. And I think it would make a neat party game, especially if I'm not a big tweeter.
He doesn't do the tweets.
But that's kind of a pasted on thing. This game could have not had the # stuff and just had been the same game. But I think it was a good of them to kind of include that. I think that's going to help their sales with this game.
Yes.
And it looked fun. This is not something I would buy. But I would play it at a party.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It looked like a lot of fun. And there were certain moments, because a lot of these party games nowadays, the humor and things are so forced that they're just not funny. Particularly adult games.
Right.
Don't get me started. But this one looked like it actually was pretty fun.
It was cute. Yeah.
Everybody was laughing. Ryan had the moment on that one.
Yes,
what was it, Ryan?
#lies.
It was quite funny.
Out.
Yeah, it was quite funny. So yeah, it looked fun, and it was, what was that one? 3 to 8. So again, party game. Oh, typically plays a higher player count like that. So, yeah, that was #me. Okay, we're gonna start rocking and rolling through some of these here. Next up is Gobblestones. This is for 2 to 4 players. I know this one's from R&R Games, as was the previous one. And this is a very abstract. Draw tiles from a bag and place them on a board that match the colors of the tiles and get points. It's that simple. You place them in a line. You can't have a 4x4 grid. Everything has to be separated like crossword puzzle style, right? And each square has points. However many you play, that's how many you draw. No,
you subtract it
it's
from
always
5.
5. You subtract it from 5. So if you play 1, you draw 4. If you play 4, you only draw 1 for your next turn. And then it just continues around the table. Add up the points as you go. Most points is the winner. Really fun.
It was really fun.
There's a second edition coming for this game, and our understanding is that the production quality is going to be much better. This one had some issues, some color blindness issues, definitely something you'll want to know about. But it was good. The game is good, and I'm not big on abstract games at all. But this was fun. It was quick, snappy, boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Turn, and it was done. We full playthrough in what, 15 minutes?
Yeah, like 15 or 20 minutes we were finished.
And it was good. It was really good. But I had issues with the colors, and the tiles were kind of, they were cheap, right? But yeah, you kind of agree with me on all of that, really?
All of it. I thought it was a great game. I'm really looking forward to the second edition, and I'll probably pick it up when that second edition comes out. Because
it was good.
It was a really good game. But I could see there was with the production issues that they had with the first edition. I didn't want to pick it up because the tiles actually had like a shiny surface to it, and in certain lights you could not tell one color from another, even if you're not colorblind. So they knew that there was issues from the beginning, and they said they're definitely ready for this second edition, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And Ryan, you dug that one too, right? Yeah. Would this be one that you liked enough that you might even purchase it? Yeah. Okay, let's move on to Celestia. And now we'll move on to Coldwater Crown. No, I'm kidding. Celestia is a push your luck game. Very simply, you set out 15? There's 15 zones, and you're in this little airship. You and all the other players start in this airship in zone 1. And then you roll dice. One person is the captain, and the captain can rotate just depending on how... That's kind of a weird thing. It's one of the things I didn't like about the game.
Right.
Is who gets chosen to be captain. And the captain is the leader, and they roll dice, and then they have cards in their hands, and they have to match the symbols on the dice. And the other people decide whether or not they think that captain has enough cards or the right cards to match those dice. If so, they stay in the boat. If not, they jump out and they take a card with points on it.
Right.
That's it, pretty much. I had seen this game. It's a beautiful production.
It's gorgeous. The artwork is beautiful.
But I don't know. In practice, it was all right. But
I
agree. Just didn't. And I've heard people say phenomenal things about this game.
Yes, me too.
But yeah, it just didn't hit me. Mm-mm. And I know it didn't hit you.
No, it definitely didn't.
You really disliked it.
I really did not care for it at all.
Ryan, and what were your thoughts? I'm curious. I'm not sure we even talked about what your thoughts were on this game yet.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Not good enough to buy it.
Right.
But I might play it again.
Okay. Well, that's fair. So, yeah, we won't go into too much detail on that one. It does play 2 to 6 players. And if you're liking the pictures you're seeing that we're putting up for this game, it is worth checking out, I guess. Because there are people out there who love it. It just wasn't us, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was Celestia. The next game that we played is probably, it might be my favorite that we played at the convention. Coldwater Crown. Coldwater Crown is a European-style game. It's a little bit heavier game, and the theme is fishing, like fishing tournament. style fishing. So the board is divided up into 3 sections: the river, the lakes, and the shores. And those are the 3 fishing grounds that you can go to in this game. And you take actions. So you have a single disc, a wooden disc in front of you at the beginning of every turn. And you're going to take it and place it out on the board in one of the unoccupied spaces and take the action of that space. Then you will take one of the other, not the one you just placed, but one of the other tokens off of the board and take the action of that space. And then it moves around the table in that way. And by doing this, you have gems on a little player board that as you take the actions of certain colors, you will be able to remove those gems from your tackle box, which is what this little board is.
The gems represent bait.
The gems represent bait, exactly. And anytime you empty one of the zones of all of the bait, then you catch the corresponding fish on the board. And there's weight challenges, there's catching different types of species challenges, and I mean, it's a game of points. What was the timer? What ended the game?
12.
Oh, 12
fish.
As soon as somebody caught their 12th fish, there are other ways the game can end too, but that is typically how the game ends. Then it's over, you count up your points, and whoever is the most is the winner. I loved it. It is a European-style game, and it is a strategic game, but I really think this is one that even newer gamers could pick up on and figure out. It's not very hard.
I would agree.
The rule book is pretty well done, and yeah, this one will be in my collection at some point. It was good. I did not buy it because it wasn't available for sale.
Right.
It was available on the Play and Win. But yeah, and Kathy, tell your story because, yeah.
So he was telling me about this game and saying that he was interested in playing it because we saw it in the library. And the first thing I thought was, I hate fishing. I do not like fishing at all. I don't think I'm going to like this game. I really don't think I'm going to like it, but we'll play it because he was interested in it. And, we're all taking turns and choosing which games we're interested in playing. So I went into it thinking, okay, we'll see what it's going to be about, but I don't have my hopes up. And I was wrong. I really liked this game. It was, I'm a big fan of the European games anyway. So it was definitely right up my alley for that. And even over and above the theme, it was such a great game. I loved the mechanic that they have that where you place your disc on the board and do that action and then take another disc and do that action as well. That was something that's pretty unique. I don't think I've seen that before.
It's in a couple other games. In fact, it's in another recent game that looks really cool to me, but I won't muddy the waters with that here. But yeah, it is. It is a unique mechanic. It's a very unique mechanic.
So I definitely loved that part about it. And
you were way tired, too, when we played that game.
I was very tired, and I still won. So I really enjoyed the game. It was really fun. There's some set collection involved.
She had to throw that in.
There's some set collection involved with the different fish that you're catching and different cards that you're getting. And so I was able to monopolize on that quite a bit, and that's what won me the game.
And Ryan?
Well, I like that. I don't really like games that have this going on, and this going on, and this going on, and this going on.
Yeah. What you might call a point salad type of game where there's just so many different things that you can choose from that it just becomes a mess. Is that what you mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This game has a few things going on, but it's not a lot to overwhelm me.
Right. Very good point. So yeah, I mean, it's like I said at the beginning, it's a strategy game that can be picked up and learned by pretty much anybody.
Right.
And I plan on doing that with this game because I do have some friends who are big into fishing, and I feel like this might be a way to get them into gaming.
Yes.
So that was Coldwater Crown, 2 to 4 players. Okay, the last game that we played on Friday night was Airlines Europe. We played this late that night, and this game is from the same designer as Ticket to Ride, which is very well known, super gateway, one of our favorite games still. Excellent game. And so Airlines Europe has some of that same feel, but it introduces, you don't play you're not a color. You are not one of the colors of player on the board. You are a shareholder in these different airlines, and you are placing planes out on the board that have routes between different cities, but it's very different. And that economic aspect and also set collection makes it very different. And there are tracks around the perimeter of the board that pertain to the stock level for each of the different airlines in the game. And there's how many was there? 8 different airlines or more than that, maybe?
Well, there's even 2 that we didn't play with because we only had 3 players.
Because we only had 3 players,
I think you're right. It's probably around 8 to 10. I don't remember exactly how much, but it's quite a few.
It plays 2 to 5 players. And I do think that this one will not suffer from the issue of taking too long at higher player counts. I will say that simply because the deck kind of remains the same. It's always going to be the same number of cards that are being drawn.
Right.
And it is, I was really looking forward to, this game's been out for a while, quite a while. I don't know the year, but, and I'd really been looking forward to playing it, and Ryan has as well. We were both, and I almost bought this game 3 or 4 different times, just online, when I'd been putting an order together. And I think I still will buy it because I did enjoy it. I think what made this game suffer for us is that we were all just tired. We were all just super tired when we were playing this game. We did not get through the whole thing. We played through 2 of the 3 full scoring cycles. So I felt like we pretty much played the game. We did count up final scoring, and we ended it and declared a winner. So we played the game enough for me to get the feeling of what it was. And I dig it. I like it. I do want to play it again in a more quiet maybe and relaxed environment as opposed to at the convention. It was super busy in there when we were playing. But yeah, Ryan, did it meet your expectations, I guess would be the question, on Airlines Europe?
It was a little, what's the word? I thought it was going to be a little better, but not much better.
Yeah. So it let you down a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Not quite, didn't have quite the luster or the gusto that you thought it might have. I don't know. I think it met my expectations. I was just tired. So I'm not going to hold that against it. Kathy, what did you think of it?
Well, as you mentioned, this is the same day that I was pretty tired playing Coldwater Crown. So at this point, I was pretty wiped, and I had never heard of the game before. So I had no expectations going in, and I thought it was a good game. I probably wouldn't buy it. It didn't see I don't know, maybe just the whole feel of the game just didn't really resonate with me, but I would definitely play it again. If he purchases it, I'm sure I'll play it again at some point. But it was a good game. It was an average game, but above average game.
Above average.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That was Airlines Europe. Again, Alan Moon, designer, 2 to 5 players. Next on the list, we have Fields of Green. So we played a full playthrough of this at the Stronghold Games booth with someone teaching us. And he was probably not the best teacher. I feel like he was distracted, and not his fault. I mean, he was working at a booth, and there were people asking questions and things like that.
Right.
But I had actually bought this game the day before. You're going to see it here in a second. So let's hold off too much comment on that one until we get to the show and tell portion.
Sounds good.
Let's move on to the next one, which is Pandante. This is a card game that has a real strong feel of poker. It has a lot of the same rules, but then it turns it on its head.
Yes.
This is a beautiful game. Beautiful game. It has a panda bear theme and gorgeous artwork, kind of a line art type of artwork on it. Striking colors, very cool. And it has some very unique things in it. The problem I had with it is that it plays 2 to 6 players, by the way. It's like Texas Hold'em poker, okay, which I love. Haven't played it in a long time. I used to play it a lot. But the bidding is really strange. It tries to turn it into a board game, which is kind of cool, giving you different powers and abilities that you can either claim to have or not have. There's a bluffing aspect, not just it takes the bluffing away from the bidding part and adds it to kind of a different part of the game.
Right.
Like, what do I have back here? Well, I want to do this special ability and be able to discard a card and draw it, so I'm claiming I have green. And then somebody can say, well, I think you're lying. And there's this whole player interaction thing.
Right.
And it's unique. It's very unique, but we just didn't feel it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of bummed out because I had heard about this game before. Thought it was going to be really cool. Mm-hmm. Kind of let me down. I may try to play it again sometime, but again in a different environment. But it just didn't hit me the way I thought it was going to. Ryan, what did you think of Pandante? You were not. Well, he wasn't getting good cards, so that had a little bit of an effect. But what did you think of the game itself?
It was okay.
Yeah. Would you play it again?
If I had the chance, yes.
Okay.
To try to get better cards.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah, he was really struggling in the cards.
And Kathy, I think you felt similarly to me, right?
Yeah, it was like you said, it was beautiful artwork, and I love playing poker as well. But I felt like the extra abilities that they tried to tack on, and all the bluffing, and all the extra things they were trying to show you to do in the game, almost took away from the whole poker feel, and it made it. I don't know. I guess it kind of got me confused, and I didn't feel like it was very flowy. And maybe it's because we were just learning it too. I don't know.
We were constantly referencing the rule book.
Yeah, we had to look at the rule book a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of a letdown. That's Pandante for 2 to 6 players. And moving on, staying with the poker theme.
Yes.
Next game we played was called Pyramid Poker. Now, talk about a 180.
Yes.
This game was great. Oh. This is a super simple tile game. Oh, these big, chunky wooden tiles.
Cubes.
Yeah. Each one represents one of the cards in a deck. It's basically a 52 card deck with 2 jokers. Right. So you take all these tiles and you put them upside down so you can't see them. You swoosh them around, mix them up, shuffle them, and each player draws 15. And then what you're going to do is you're going to build a pyramid out on the table, where the tiles that you're placing in that pyramid are only facing and can be seen by you. The other player, it's a 2-player game, by the way, 2-player only. The other player's doing the same thing. They are placing tiles to where only they can see them. And you build this 6 wide at the bottom, and then up to, 4 wide?
I think it's 4,
4 or 3, something like that at the top. And then the pyramid is built. Once the pyramid is built, you keep playing, only now you are taking tiles off of the pyramid and placing them in one of 3 hands. You have 3 5-card hands because you had 15 tiles at the end of the game, and you're going to compare those hands. Hand 1, you versus your opponent. Hand 2, same thing. Hand 3, same thing. And whoever wins 2 out of 3 or all 3 wins the game. And there's an advanced scoring variant where the type of hand gets you a different amount of points, and you can play multiple rounds. But this was cool.
Very cool.
Because the great thing about it is as you're taking tiles off, if you're not liking any of the ones you can see and that you have the ability to get right now, because you can only take legal moves. You can't pull them from down the bottom. It has to be pulled from a spot that is uncovered.
Right.
Right. And you can take yours or you can take your opponent's and just kind of push your luck, and hopefully you get something that works good for one of your hands. And once you place something in your hand, it has to stay there. You can't move them around.
Right.
So you place it in one of your 3 hands, and that's where it stays. I loved this.
Oh,
this was cool. Kathy, yeah, you same thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I had heard about it. Actually, I first heard about it the first day of the con, and unfortunately it wasn't available to purchase, but we found it available to play. And
it was in the play and win.
Yeah, in the play and win. And everything that I heard about it sounded really good, and I liked the whole poker aspect of it, so I was really looking forward to see what it was like, and it did not disappoint. I have already purchased the game. I loved it. It's in the mail. It's in the mail. It'll be here soon. So that's how much I liked it. I really enjoyed the game. It was so much fun.
Ryan, you too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Ryan plays poker with us from time to time, so he understands the what hand beats what, that kind of thing. And you dug it too, right? Mm-hmm. We were all just kind of enamored with this game. So that was Pyramid Poker for 2 players from R&R Games. Okay, next on the list is a little game for 2 to 5 players called Biotics. And this one was good. Ryan, what did you think of it?
I like it.
No, wait! We bought it.
We bought it.
We'll talk about it in a few minutes. So hold off on that, Biotics. Next one on the list is Fuji Flush. Kathy, what did you think of Fuji?
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. Fuji
Flush is awesome.
No, wait!
We bought it.
Stop. Okay, next on the list is Order of the Gilded Compass. This is another reprint or re-theming of a game called Ilia Acta Est, something like that. I don't know.
It's right there.
Maybe. So, Order of the Gilded Compass is for 2 to 5 players. It's another dice game. This is not dice drafting. This is dice placement. So, each player has 8 dice, and there are, 5 locations on the board? 5 or 6?
Maybe. It depends on the player count. It depends on the player count.
No, there's at least 5 because there's the one you go to if you get booted out anywhere. But anyway, multiple locations on the board, and each location can only take certain types of die rolls or multiple dice. So in one of the locations, it'll take sets or groups. So you can take all of your 5s and place them there, or all of your 2s. And then you can add on to it on a future roll, things like that. Other ones you have to put straights. Other ones you have to put any 2 dice that equal 5, or 2 dice that equal 7, or any single die. Different things like that. So you're basically rolling and placing one group of dice or single die out on the board and passing play around the table.
Right.
And each of these places will reward you with different tiles or point scoring abilities at the end of every round. So it's really good. The theme is obviously pasted on, right? It's what would you even call that? It was like the ancient Egyptian, almost like archaeology type of.
Yeah, it was like treasure and all that kind of stuff.
Tomb raiding type of.
Tomb raiding, that sounds like
that type of thing.
Yeah.
And it was good. I liked it. I actually was very curious about it before the convention. It's been out for a little bit now. I was turned on to it because I knew of the original game, and it's been out of print forever. So when this came back, I was like, oh, here's a chance to get this game. And I don't know that it was like, I mean, it wasn't, it didn't blow me away. I knew what I was getting into, though. I mean, we have other games like that. I don't know, but I feel like it went from being on my buy list to on my list of, if I find it on clearance somewhere, that kind of thing. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I liked it. How about you?
I liked it more than you.
Okay.
I was ready to buy it after I played it.
It's because she won again. Oh, wait, no, you didn't win.
I did not
You didn't win. I'm sorry.
I did not win, but it is a dice game, and I am all about dice. So, I really liked the game. I didn't know very much about it going in. I knew less than he did about the game, but he told me it was a good one we needed to try. And after we tried it, I really liked it. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the modules because we didn't get to see all the modules that's available.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely that's definitely on my wish list.
And that's one of the nice things about the game is that there is some quite a bit of replayability there because, with only 5 locations, but there being 4 different options in one location, 3 different options in another location, and then a couple different. There's, you can really mix it up and have quite a few different gameplay experiences with the one game, which is always a good thing. The rule book was kind of weird. It had some issues.
Yes.
Not the designers, but the publishers were there and they acknowledged those issues.
Yes.
And they did mention that the second printing of this hopefully has fixed those problems.
They said they were going to, yes.
And one of the questions they couldn't even answer, could they?
No.
Or no, they did. They did.
did.
They did get an answer on both of them. But still, it was okay. I mean, I would definitely play it again. But yeah, I'm not rushing out to buy it, I guess is kind of my point with that. Ryan, what was your thoughts on... I know you love dice games too, but what did you think of this one?
I'm not really at that point because there's a lot of different modules.
I see what you're saying.
And to rate it?
Yeah. Of the little that you saw, though, what did you think? It was good, great, not great?
I liked it. I liked the idea of it.
Sure. So that's fair. Yeah, no, I understand. And I kind of feel the same way.
Right.
I might see a couple other modules and completely change my mind.
Right.
So you bring up a good point. So that was Order of the Gilded Compass, 2 to 5 players. And now we're going to move on to Yokohama. Yokohama is a big game. Oh, yeah. Ryan did not play this one. He was wiped out for the night. This was the last one we played on Saturday. Big, very heavy, very strategic. European style board game that is for 2 to 4 players, and it is a monster. It's a monster to set up. It's a monster to teach. It's a monster to learn, and it is a monster to wrap your head around. There's so much going on. It's not that the game is hard to figure out as far as the mechanics. Okay, I can do this, and I move my guy here. This is what I can do. It's worker placement. It's worker placement, kind of. But it's kind of path building and resource gathering. Lots of points to be had in this game.
Yes.
Unless you're me.
Yeah, or me.
and it is, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. But I feel like it's going to take me 5 or 6 more plays of this game at how many? I mean, what, 2 to 3 hours a pop?
It was about 3 hours.
Just to be able to feel like I have a good handle on it. So
yes,
this is definitely not for the faint of heart. It's for our typical audience. It's certainly beware is all I'm saying. Any of these other games you could probably figure out and pick up, but this one, it's going to take some time to figure out. You kind of need to know what you're getting into. Kathy, you loved it.
This is my favorite game that we played at the con. I am a big fan of the European games, and I like the little bit heavier strategic games anyway. And this one was on my radar, and I was hoping we were going to get a chance to play it, and we did find an opportunity to play it, and I loved it. It was like David said, it's going to take a couple more plays for me to really feel like I can do a good job on the game. The people that we played with killed us in points.
Destroyed us.
But they had played it before, and they
multiple times.
And they were really heavy gamers. So I kind of figured going in I probably wouldn't win, but we did not keep up with them very well at all. But it didn't really matter because I really liked the game. It was definitely my favorite game of the con.
I was almost doubled in points by the leader. That's how bad I did. And I felt like I had some good moves. That's the thing. But there's just so much going on in this pyramid style board that's completely modular, different every time. How you score points is different every time. There's technologies that you can buy. There's a religion track that you can jump onto. There's a exported goods or whatever it is track that you can try to get in on. And then on top of all that, what was the thing across the very top? Oh, the orders, special orders that you could fill for different resources and goods that you're gathering, fish and your silk and your copper and
it looked like bricks.
Little wooden tokens. So we played the deluxe version of this game, which was beautiful. All big, these great wooden components and things like that. And there was little brick pieces, copper pieces that looked like bricks.
They
looked like bricks. So no, it was a really good game, and I like heavy games too. And I would play this one again, but it went from being something that I thought I was gonna want to buy to being something that I'll let Kathy buy it. So that was Yokohama, 2 to 4 players. That's Tasty Minstrel Games, I think, right? Tasty Minstrel.
Yes, it is.
Okay. The last game that we played at the convention on Sunday, we only played one game on Sunday at the convention, was Tiny Epic Galaxies.
Oh boy.
And this is for 1 to 5 players. This is another one that has a solo play variant in it. It's from Gamelin Games. And it's part of the Tiny Epic series. There's quite a few of these games out there, 4 or 5 now, I think. And Galaxies has kind of been the best received in the industry and by people in the hobby. And for good reason. I had not played it. I had been wanting to play it forever, been wanting to buy it forever. It's very tough to find. You can get it on Amazon if you want to pay an over-exorbitant price for it. So what it is a kind of a worker placement, again, where you have little ships and you are rolling dice and then taking actions based on what the die faces show. And you have the ability to re-roll by spending energy. You can also do something really cool in this game, which is called following. This is another newer concept in some games, where anytime another player takes an action with a die, using a die and taking that action, whether it be move a ship or gain energy or, proceed on one of the little orbit tracks or whatever it is, you can choose to follow them And to do that, you have to spend a culture point. So you're trying to build up energy and culture so you can re-roll your dice and do follow actions for other players, which lets you do more during the game, right? Lets you do extra stuff. And then you collect planet cards, and they give you different abilities, and they also give you points, and the first player to 21 points wins the game, and I love it, and I want to buy it still, and it was great. It's probably my second favorite game that we played at the convention, just underneath Coldwater Crown. So, yeah, liked it a lot.
Yeah, I liked it a lot as well, and I won.
You didn't win all of them, that's all I'm saying.
That's very true, I did not.
She's just telling you about the ones that she won. We've talked about 20 games. That's all I'm saying.
But I really enjoyed it. Of course, again, this is a dice game. I love dice games. And the dice did roll in my favor in this game a lot.
Yeah, and not in mine. I mean, way not in mine.
It really didn't for him. But it was a really great game. I really enjoyed the dice rolling and the upgrade abilities and all the different choices that you have in this game. It was a really good game. Yeah, definitely have it's on my list as well.
Yeah, and that's a good point. For a dice game, you would think you roll the dice, you get what you get. There's a lot of choices to be made in this game, and it's small for a little bitty game.
Yes,
there's a lot going on. Not complexity, a lot of things going on.
Right.
But interesting decision making.
Right.
So
there's a lot to the game for as small as the game is.
It's not hard to learn. It's not hard to figure out.
Right.
But there are some really good decisions to be made. Unless the dice just hate you, which they hated me in that game. Hated me. Ryan, what did you think of this game? I know you had been wanting to play this game for a while too.
I did, and I liked it better than I thought it would.
Oh, wow. That's saying something too. So you're saying at some point this will be on our shelf, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. We agree. Very good, very good. So that was Tiny Epic Galaxies, 1 to 5 players. And that is the last one for the games that we played that we didn't buy at the convention, either because it wasn't available, or we were hoping to win it, or we just ran out of money, or whatever the case may be. So we're going to now start taking a look at some of the games that we picked up. I'm going to put this away, and we'll be back in just a second.
Stop.
That'll be a blooper. Is it started? We're running out of time. Come on, man.